Hello, welcome back to my channel and to today's video, which is a bit of a different one for my channel. It's a sit down, chatty, answering questions video, all about what I would do if money was no object. And it's in collaboration with Caroline, Mrs. M, who I am sure most of you will know and have probably already subscribed to her, but if you don't, Caroline has had a YouTube channel for many years now, and she makes a big variety of content, mainly around lifestyle, lots of fashion, travel, home stuff. She's done a lot of renovation works to her house. And previously she was really well known for her reselling content, which she's moved away from now, but that's how I found Caroline in the midst of the first lockdown it was. And as the years have gone on, obviously as I've got to know the whole of the reselling community, me and Caroline have crossed paths a fair few times, and more and more struck up conversation and got on really well. And we decided to do a collaboration video because she wanted to help me out with getting a bit closer to becoming monetized on here, because I'm not that far away. And so she suggested that we do a collab video, which was really kind of her. And this is what we decided to do. So it is 10 questions, all starting with, if money was no object, ... And so yeah, we're both going to answer the same 10 questions. I will link Caroline's video in the description box below so you can see how she answered them, and we'll see what we both come up with. So without further ado, let's get into the first question. So question number 1 is, if money was no object, which charitable cause would you support most and why? And let's face it, every charity deserves to be helped out. But things on a personal level for me would be animal charities. Animals are a huge part of my life. I've always had dogs. Growing up, I had a horse, and yeah, it's a cause that makes my heart happy to see dogs and cats and other animals being cared for and being given loving homes. Also charities like the WWF, which obviously help to protect species of animals that we as humans have almost caused to go extinct. That would be another big cause to help out. On a sort of more peoply level, like I say, there's no undeserving cause. On a personal point, probably a cancer charity. If we're being honest, I don't think there's anyone out there whose family or friends haven't been affected by cancer, and my family is no exception to that. And we've lost several members to cancer. I lost my granddad when I was 6. My grandma had breast cancer as well, but she thankfully survived. And yeah, just various other people. There's actually a hospice in York that helped out a couple of my family members, so I want to make sure that they were looked after as well. But generally, that is one disease that has caused a lot of pain in my family. So yes, in terms of charitable causes, animals and cancer are probably the two that I would spring to. If money was no object, well, this is question number 2. If money was no object, where in the world would you choose to live and why? And this is really difficult for me because I don't think there's any one place I would want to exist in, and therefore it would probably be more than one location. For example, I am York born and raised. I adore York. I feel so fortunate to be from York and have it on my doorstep. The village we live in is a 15-minute drive into York, and I love it. And I've always said that I can see myself when I get older coming back to this area. And so very much I would have a property around here. Quite possibly, actually, the house that my mum grew up in. It is a gorgeous 17th century farmhouse. And the current owners have put an awful lot of work into restoring it back to its former glory. My grandparents owned it from the 50s until the 90s, and they did a lot of bad things to that place. A lot of patterned wallpaper and carpets and covering up beams and nice period features and putting in modern fireplaces. And the people that own it now restored the inglenook fireplaces and sanded back the wooden floors and revealed all the panelling that was hidden, and it is beautiful. So quite possibly that house. I would love to have a house in Canada. Canada is a country I've never been to, but I think about quite often. It's a place I would really love to go. I think it's such a beautiful country. The nature that they have there, the scenery that they have is incredible, and it's a place I would love to have a house there, in the woods overlooking the mountains, definitely. In terms of the UK though, I would also love to have a house in Cornwall. Me and my uni mates, we had a holiday to Cornwall during 2020. Yeah, it was when things eased up through the summer in terms of the lockdown. And we stayed in the most incredible house. I've never been in a house like it. It was an Airbnb and it was divine. It was a 15-minute drive from Land's End, just outside Penzance. And yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous. And it was very environmentally friendly. It had a ground source heat pump for all the heating and showers and everything. Just a FYI for anyone watching this who doesn't know what I do, I am an architect by trade, so houses are my bag. That house anyway was divine. It was like a stone cottage that had been extended tastefully, I might add, nice timber extension with lots of glass in it. And yeah, I would happily live there. I'd probably have a house somewhere on the continent, you know, maybe Marseille or Monaco or Lake Garda or Lake Como. Yeah, unsure, but definitely several locations. So that's kind of similar to the next question, which is, if money was no object, what type of home would you build and where? Now, I've always wanted to build my own house, but I've never quite settled on a style, because I'm not as I appreciate the very contemporary architecture, the cutting edge, lots of glass, white render, but that sort of leads to the minimalist aesthetic, which I am not. Equally, I do like a period property, but if I was to build one, I don't know what the point would be, because so many of them are already in existence. And quite often when you try and reenact, what's the word? Just redo that style, it becomes pastiche. And it just basically looks like a tacky, cheap version of what they built back then, because back then it was built of the solid stone, and that stone now has age and wear to it. And all the intricacies of the internal detailing were thought about by the architects then, whereas to recreate that now, you're basically, it's copying it. And so I don't know whether I'm going to cheat this question a bit, because the question is, what type of home would you build and where? I think for me, it's more, what type of home would I buy and where? Because I would buy a period property on the edge of a village somewhere, so it was walkable to some amenities, but it'd be a beautiful period property, probably double fronted, probably made of brick, because I find that more warm than a stone house. I think stone houses can look quite cold. With beautiful gardens, really nicely landscaped gardens, and I would probably want to buy it as a renovation project and put my own stamp on the place, embracing the period details that are already there, and put a contemporary extension on it. In architecture at the moment, there is a lot more of a lean towards refurbishing what we already have, in terms of a sustainability point of view. Taking a building that already exists, that building already has embodied carbon in it, so the carbon created by producing the materials it was built from, and the construction to build it, all of that. If you knock it down and start again or build something new, that's all this new embodied carbon. Whereas if you work with what's already there, what you're adding in terms of carbon to the planet is far, far reduced. But also, like I say, in terms of my tastes, yeah, it would lend itself more to a period property. So, question number 4. If money was no object, what kind of experience or adventure would you indulge in? Would probably be to go skiing somewhere that I wouldn't even think of usually, like New Zealand when it's ski season there, because at the moment, financially, that's not a thing. Can't do that. I've been skiing twice in my lifetime. Well, I've been on 2 skiing holidays. They were both school trips. So I went in year 8 with school and year 10. And I loved it. We went for skiing lessons. There's a dry slope in a town about 20 minutes from here, and we went for skiing lessons there, and I absolutely adored it. And I just haven't really had the opportunity or the funds to go skiing since, and doing it somewhere that I usually wouldn't be able to afford to go either. So like New Zealand is literally the other side of the world, and I hear they have a really good ski season over there. I would absolutely love to do and push myself to do some steeper slopes than I've done in the past, with the appropriate practice, obviously. But yeah, in terms of if money was no object, adventure, it would be skiing somewhere cool. Question number 5. If money was no object, what would be your perfect 2-week holiday? I would probably pay for me and all of my uni mates to go and stay in a villa somewhere nice. Somewhere maybe like the Maldives or Bora Bora or the Seychelles, somewhere really exotic, and we'd all fly out there in a private jet that was big enough to get all of us in, because we're a group of about 15. And yeah, we'd have a really nice villa, and we would chill out, and we would sunbathe and go in the sea and go on lovely walks and have really nice food, and we'd have people there cooking for us for 2 weeks, because my most memorable and favourite holidays are the ones I've spent with that group. We had an amazing holiday at a villa in Naples last year. Speaking of that trip, if you want to see it, I did actually film that as a travel vlog, and I have a playlist dedicated to travel vlogs in the playlist section of my channel. I filmed several trips that I've been on, if that is something that interests you. And so, yeah, it would be a villa somewhere amazing with them. Perfect 2-week holiday. Question number 6. If money was no object, what would you plan for 6 months of travel? Now, I don't know how many of you will have seen my life update with coming home early, but yeah, obviously I was in Bali for almost 3 weeks earlier this year, through end of June, start of July, and it had been my intention to carry on from there, and I was going to go to Singapore, Vietnam and Thailand. However, if you've seen that video, you will know that due to other circumstances, I had to come home after 3 weeks. And so 6 months of travel, I would definitely be headed back to Southeast Asia, and I would do all of those countries, plus maybe Cambodia and Laos, and see where else I end up, India, Nepal, but see them in detail, because 3 weeks in Bali was lovely, but I could definitely have spent longer there. You know, spent a few, we did 5 different places within Bali, and so we sort of did 4 days in each, roughly. Is that right? Yeah, something like that. And it was enough, don't get me wrong, but equally could have spent longer there, investigating more, doing more trips out, just really soaking in the culture. There are also more areas of Bali I'd love to go to that we didn't get to go. So we did Canggu, Seminyak, Ubud. We went out to the island of Gili Trangwan and we finished in Uluwatu. But there's also a place called Nusa Penida that I'd love to go to. I'd love to go to the other two Gili Islands. I'd love to go over to Lombok, which is a different Indonesian island. And yeah, I just came away thinking that's a place that at some point in the future I want to go back to because there's more to see. And if I feel like that about Bali, then I have no doubt it will be the same with Vietnam and Thailand and Cambodia and Singapore. So I would do 6 months in Southeast Asia and I would see it all properly. And of course, because money's no object, I'd be staying in the finest hotels and villas and probably travel around by private helicopter or something ridiculous like that. But yeah, those are the areas that I would go and see and spend as a lot of time there. Rather than trying to cover the whole of the world, I'd rather do a smaller section in as much detail as I can to get the full appreciation for it. So question number 7, another travel related one. If money was no object, what would your winter holiday destination be? I have, for the longest time, wanted to go and see the Norwegian fjords. It just looks absolutely stunning, and to me that is a proper wintry holiday. And of course you usually see them by cruise, so no doubt I'd get some kind of private cruise to go around them all, and again take friends and family with me. But yeah, that is something that is just has always been on my bucket list. And quite often you can see the Northern Lights from there, and it just, yeah, it would be spectacular. So winter holiday would be a fancy way of seeing the Norwegian fjords. Number 8, now this is a blooming difficult one. If money was no object, which historical artifact would you buy and why? And I thought about this for ages, and I am sticking with my pride in the heritage of the city I come from, which is York. As I've said, I'm York born and raised. And one of the places that I often take people to see when people come to visit me, so when Carla and Lex came to York, I took them to see it, is the chapel of Margaret Clitheroe. Margaret Clitheroe was a martyr in York who was crushed underneath her own front door. They put her underneath it, put a door on top of her, and put heavy rocks on top of the door until it crushed her to death because she was harbouring priests. And obviously Henry VIII didn't like that. I believe it was Henry VIII. I'm pretty sure it was around that time. It's when the Church of England came into play anyway. And yeah, I would probably buy that. By the chapel. I say chapel, it is literally the house that she owned and lived in. I don't know if she owned it, she might be a tenant, but it's the house that she lived in. It's the place where she got crushed with her own front door. It's down the Shambles in York, which for anyone that's been to York, obviously the Shambles is like the most famous street. I avoid it at all costs because it's always too full of tourists and you cannot move. The ghost shop is there and the queue is ridiculous. Anyway, that's besides the point. Yeah, because it's a place that I always seem to gravitate to, I would buy that house. And sorry, I didn't finish what I was saying. They've turned that house into a chapel, like a shrine for Margaret Clitheroe. It's one of the, not National Trust, but like Historic England properties or something like that. So I would probably buy that. I know that's not quite an artifact. If I had to make it an artifact, I'd buy the door she was crushed with. I don't even know if that still exists. It's certainly not there now. Question number 9. If money was no object, what kind of work would you do, or would you not work at all? Now, if money was no object, obviously I wouldn't need to earn a living because I would have enough money anyway. So I would probably continue doing architecture, but for charitable causes. So providing homes for people that don't have them, community projects, providing community spaces for people, something that gives back. And obviously with all the money I've got, I could probably afford to fund the build of these projects as well. But I love architecture. I at this point in my life can't see that I would stray from that. So if money was no object, I would stay in the field but be working charitably to help other people is what I would do. And finally, question number 10. If money was no object, what kind of gift would you buy for family and friends? Money in itself is a big gift in terms of making people's lives comfortable. So I have to say that the majority of my friends are not money oriented. They are not money hungry people, and they're not the sort of people that would necessarily want to have all the money in the world. But if I could give them enough money to allow them to have a comfortable life and pursue their passions and dreams because they're not having to work in a job they don't like to pay bills for a house they can barely afford, that kind of thing, I would help them out with that. And same goes for family, obviously. It would be paying off their mortgage for them, or paying off any debt they've got into, or giving them money to help them start their own business. Things to help them achieve their passions in life, as opposed to just buying big expensive gifts that don't really help anyone because it's just consumerism gone mad. You wouldn't catch me going to Harrods and buying everyone a fur coat. Do Harrods sell fur coats? Are they against fur? I don't know why I'm going with that. But effectively, rather than perfunctory gifts, I would pay for stuff that makes their lives easier and allows them to pursue what makes them happy. So those are my answers to the 10 questions that me and Caroline have devised. As I said, I will link her video down below. I'm intrigued to see what answers she has given to these questions and see if they are similar to mine or not. But please go over and check out her video too. Give her a like and a comment and subscribe if you're not already. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed watching this. As I say, bit of a different video for me, but it's been an enjoyable one to film. Something, you know, a bit different, a bit more thought-provoking of what would I do? I mean, it's unlikely to happen. If I do become in that position of wealth, it will be for no reason other than I've managed to make it as some sort of half-decent architect, which we'll see. That's a long way off yet. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you all again soon with another video.